Don't touch that dial. You're tuned in to the Dread Podcast Network.
Welcome to Development Hell. For every horror movie that hits V.O.D, countless others end up D.O.A. Development Hell is the podcast dedicated to unearthing these cursed horror productions. We're going to find out what went wrong, and then decide if these titles still stand a shot at the green light. I am your host, Josh Corngut. I am a filmmaker in Toronto, Canada. This podcast is a proud member of the Dread Podcast Network. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to a brand new episode of Development Hell. Today we have a pretty different topic for us, unlike anything we've done before. We are tackling the Bride of Frankenstein reboot today. And not just the Bride of Frankenstein reboot, but the Dark Universe, Bride of Frankenstein universe. And this whole Dark Universe fiasco is something you may or may not be familiar with. We're going to head into it a little bit later. For now, I want to introduce you to one of my best friends in the whole world. She is today's guest, very special guest, I might add. We have with us Samantha White today. Samantha, hi, how's it going?
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so excited to have you here finally, my longtime companion collaborator. I was wondering, could you introduce yourself to the Development Hell audience?
Yes. I am a writer, producer, editor, also in Toronto, and I have not seen nearly as many horror movies as any of you, I'm sure, but I'm getting there.
You definitely are getting there. Horror. How has our relationship influenced your relationship with horror?
Than I ever did before. I would say I went through I did the classics when I was like a tween, and then I got too scared for a very long time, and then this actually does coincide with the beginning of our relationship, which would be that I got on anxiety medication and thus have been able to engage with content that makes me fear things a little more in a healthy way. It's part of it for me. I was thinking about that the other day, but because I used to not be able to even watch like an episode of Criminal Minds without spinning out for literal weeks. So.
Well, listen, Criminal Minds probably the scariest content on the planet. Scarier than anything we've covered on this podcast.
Absolutely, yes.
I also, because I know you so well, I know that you are on a bit of a horror journey right now with your husband.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit of what's going on there? What's that like? What are you guys up to?
So we've kind of actually been going on like 3 simultaneous horror journeys over the past year or so. We started with all of the Thomas Harris stuff. So we did like all of the movies that deal with like the Hannibal Lecter universe. And that was really cool. I'd never seen Silence of the Lambs, which, obviously iconic. So then now we've kind of moved on to early slashers, and we're doing all the classics there. We did Black Christmas, which was super fun, and we went
you
to
did? I don't think I knew.
Oh yeah, we did that one in the summer, and then we went to see The House too.
Oh, in Toronto, of course.
Yeah, on like a kind of a private street, but you can walk on it.
I don't want to give too much away, but I don't think this is the last we're going to be hearing about Black Christmas for this month, and that is all I have to say. Yeah. Are you familiar with the Black Christmas remake from 2006 starring Michelle Trachtenberg?
Wait, there's a Michelle Trachtenberg one?
Yeah.
Thought you were. I thought I was prepared to be like. I thought you were talking about the, what was it, 2019 one?
No. So
there's a 2006.
There's a 2006 And it's just called Black Xmas, which I actually appreciate.
Mm.
Yeah, it definitely stars Michelle Trachtenberg and Philly,
Fisher?
Carrie Fisher. Yes,
Okay,
she plays
okay.
like I'm almost certain she plays the house mom in it. I know she also plays the house mom in Sorority Row, so sometimes I get it
Oh,
confused.
so funny.
Yeah, it was not the highlight of her career, the mid-aughts, I will say.
No.
No, 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 no.
No,
Any
no.
other slasher thriller spookiness that you and husband Howard have come across lately of note
Well,
that have sort of stuck to you?
like I said, we've been doing all a ton of the early slashers. We did Sleepaway Camp, which I
Oh my
really
god.
enjoyed, which was which I know you thought I was.
It seems like jumping in the deep end.
It is, but what can I say? The curling iron worked for me.
Oh, that's so
Um,
funny. I did an episode on Sleepaway Camp 4 not that long ago, and our
yes.
guest rightly refused to acknowledge the existence of that curling iron moment. And, I think that's his right. I think that as a culture, we should be allowed to erase the curling iron moment. Although, personally, I think it's classic.
I think it's classic. I
I mean,
enjoyed it.
it's not the 2021 moment.
I mean, what is?
I was gonna say nothing, but I think a Bride of Frankenstein reboot really could be, and we will get there. We're not there, but we will
Ooh.
get there.
Let's do
Um,
it.
so what is your, and if it's nothing, feel free to say that, but what's your general relationships to the Universal Monsters? Before we watched Bride of Frankenstein for this episode, had you seen any of the original ones, or were you just sort of familiar with them through the pop cultural zeitgeist?
So I was thinking about that as we were starting to
Hmm.
talk about doing this episode, and I don't think I've ever seen any of the actual original Universal monster movies aside
Hmm.
from Bride of Frankenstein for today. I've seen obviously I'm very familiar with the characters because
Hmm.
they are classics. And I have experiences with remakes and adaptions, like your Jekyll and Hyde the musical. I
Wow, good
saw
one.
ooh, someone like you. I saw the '90s Mummy, obviously.
Incredible movie, by the way. We can't just brush by that like it's nothing, like we don't care. I feel like I feel like we went through a period of a peak and valley with with how much we respect that film series. But I think now that we've decided that the Mummy's amazing.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say, I feel like he is still in the midst of his
Oh, still?
Keanu. Yeah, I think so.
Oh, I'm ready for it to be over. I don't know
Really?
why. I just don't trust men. I've
Yeah.
got
That
men trauma.
that makes two of us on this mic.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I poked around. I know the characters. I know the settings, but I don't
Hmm.
necessarily.
Too much of a
I don't know the blueprint.
foundation. I'm listening to you.
And then I also, which I think you did as well, I was a big fan of, big fan of the whole podcast that Karina Longworth does called "You Must Remember This."
Hmm.
It's a film and old Hollywood history podcast that's incredible. If
Which is
you've,
kind of the responsible for the birth of this podcast on some level. That's all I'll say.
it was I think the
Mm.
first podcast you ever got into.
Yep, and it's thanks to little Miss Samantha White over here. Sam is the reason I even got into podcasts in the first place. Yeah, and it did start with You Must Remember This, specifically with an episode on Val Newton, classic horror
Mm.
aficionado. What's the movie he did? Cat People?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
I just
I
love
didn't
that
know that was the
infotainment.
episode.
Yeah, which it's an early episode in
Hmm.
that series too, but
Well,
yeah,
you're
we gotta
welcome,
thank
everybody.
Samantha. Thank you,
Anyways,
thank you, thank you.
she did a couple spooky seasons ago. Uh, a couple
Hmm.
Octobers ago, she did that series on Bella and Boris.
Oh right.
And so I feel like everything I know about kind of the history of those movies being made in that time is kind of from her and from that.
And how dare that miniseries be boring? First of all, because I mean, listen, everyone should know. Both of us truly obsessed with You Must Remember This.
Hmm.
Not
No,
all her miniseries are created equal. Sorry. I'm going to pivot into telling you a little bit about my initial relationship with the Universal Monster world, if you're okay
Yes,
with that.
please do. I would love to hear.
So I, unlike, have a bit of a history with the original classic Universal Monsters, but nothing too deep. I want to stress that if you are interested in learning more about the original Universal Monsters canon, I really suggest you guys check out the podcast, The Monsters That Made Us. They too were featured on Variety's 13 podcasts to make you scream list.
Woo, woo,
And
woo, woo.
yes. I'm gonna wait for your applause because obviously we were on it too. But it's a really cool. Ah! Yeah, an amazing show. But I've seen a few. I think the first time I ever saw anything from the Universal Monsters canon was when I was in university. I think I was in a horror movie class or some kind of class, and we did watch the original Frankenstein. And I remember thinking, "Oh, this is boring." And I have seen the original Dracula many times. I actually love it. It's one of I don't know, it's one of my favorites, but I definitely say out of everything that I've seen from like the original Universal, it's up there. And
Really?
also, yeah,
What do
huge.
you
I
love
love it.
about it?
It's so gothic and it's
Mm.
so camp and it's kind of honestly, are you ready? Scary. I find it
Ooh.
to be a little scary. I definitely saw that in university too on like a laptop in my room. But I remember being like, oh, like this is making me feel some kind of way. It'll hold on like shots of rats being spooky. It's just like it's
Mm.
a spooky ooky boo. And I do like it. Another reason that I'm so connected to the original Dracula is because I'm a big Philip Glass fan.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably come up in our Candyman episode, but like I stand Philip Glass from here to forever. And I think it was the late 90s, maybe more recently than that. He composed a brand new score for Dracula, and they did release a version of the original Dracula scored by Philip Glass, and
Oh, that's
it's
incredible.
yeah, it is truly heightened, monumental, the only girl in the room, and it's really
That's one of
beautiful.
those things I'd go to like the symphony to see.
Yes. Oh shit.
Yeah.
And every other Halloween the symphony's doing some shit like that. So
Oh, absolutely.
when are they gonna do Philip Glass's Candyman score live? Well, yeah, other than Dracula, the original Frankenstein, I definitely have seen the original Wolfman, and now I've seen Bride of Frankenstein, and that might be it for like the true blue originals.
I see as someone who from time to time gets to, visit your apartment,
Hmm.
that gothic aesthetic of the Universal monster movies, these original ones, is full Josh Corngut.
Oh, thank you,
I
you.
mean, these
Thank you.
castles, they are just
Yeah.
this is what this was the blueprint. Now I see.
This was the blueprint for Jay Corngut. It's absolutely correct. I also love these like the opening scene of Bride of Frankenstein is maybe one of my favorites in the film. And you just have it's the scene with Mary Shelley lounging with two like gay men, basically.
Incredible.
Incredible. And the room, I guess it must be like a soundstage, is
Yeah.
huge. Like they don't even pretend. It's just like the fireplace just goes up like literally 70 feet in the air, and the the big like windows are like whoosh 70 feet in the air. It's just like whoa. I love it.
I was
And I also
obsessed
love
with
her
that
in that.
whole scene. I
Me
loved
too.
the framing device. It was so funny.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about how they used and what they did in that opening scene for Bride of Frankenstein? Do you want to give us
Yeah,
a
for
little bit
sure.
of a context?
So I believe in that opening scene, we are seeing an actress who is later the actress who will portray Bride of
Mm-hmm.
Frankenstein, and
Mm-hmm.
she is portraying Mary Shelley. And it's kind of this meta scene with Mary Shelley's husband, and then I don't know who the other guy is.
Yeah.
But they're just
Gay,
kind
yes. Both
yeah,
of them.
gay for
Gay.
sure.
Yeah.
Um, yes, so they're just kind of talking about the book and the idea that this woman with her and this is a direct quote, fragile white fingers who scared of lightning could tell stories of monsters. And it's like this super
Yeah.
campy, like it really knows what it's
Do you think she's
doing.
in on the joke? Do you think she's in on it in that moment? The film itself, like, do you think it realizes what it's saying about misogyny?
I think it has to.
I think so too.
Yeah. I don't know if it
Um,
knows what it's saying, like, other than that,
no, no, no. I don't
like,
think it's going too deep because it can't.
yeah.
But Elsa Lan, I hope I'm saying this right. Elsa Lanchester, I believe, is the name of the actress that plays Mary
Mhm.
Shelley and the monster's mate, and she's given it.
She
She's
really
full blown
is.
drag in this scene. What a
Everyone is.
face. Oh yeah, oh god, the men more so even than her. She's fucking gorgeous though. And she is gorgeous in a way that is a little scary.
It's
It's
those
it's
eyes.
it's those eyes and the teeth. Does that make sense? Like the teeth are kind of imperfect, but her
Mhm.
face is extremely perfect. So
Yeah.
it's like it's a little off-putting and I'm absolutely obsessed with it. You may know Elsa from her role in Mary Poppins, That Darn Cat,
Hmm.
Blackbeard's Ghost, and even the 1971 horror film Willard. So this girl's been around the block.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I don't think I had ever seen her in anything before
Oh,
this.
me neither, but I definitely have those promo black and white shots of her for this
Mhm.
film ingrained in my membrane.
Well, this may be jumping ahead a little bit, but
Mm.
it was so funny to me to realize that this is like a this movie is almost it's almost like a Waiting for Godot type thing. Like she's
Oh my
barely
gosh.
in this movie.
Yeah,
Like,
she is, and it's sad
and
a
it's
little
just
bit.
that one image, and that's
It's
carried, like, that has that
oh yeah.
iconography has carried so far, despite the fact that
Oh,
she is in it for truly 2 minutes, does absolutely
mhm.
nothing,
Yeah, means nothing. It
means
adds nothing to the plot,
nothing.
but she's so good.
Yeah,
And the terror of the shriek of when she sees Frankenstein, and
I know.
every second you see her on screen, the weight is just palpable. It's so good. I love it so much. And yeah, I was gonna say it's kind of sad that we don't have more of the titular character in this film, but at the
Mhm.
same time, it like makes it all the more, I don't know, like incredible when she is on screen.
Totally, and I think the meta framing device, it was so strange, but it worked so well,
It's so strange. And if we
and
don't come back to it, it doesn't bookend, which
no.
is so weird. She's yeah, the two
Yeah.
like her two gay lovers, because I'm assuming this is some kind of triangle,
Yes, yes,
are like,
yes.
"Ooh, it's a spooky, ooky night. Like, tell us more, tell us more." And she's like, "Okay, come," and they like sit next to her on this cute little couch. And she's like, "Girls, I've got it." And then she like, yeah, frames the story that we're about to hear. Samantha, would you be comfortable with allowing me to give yourself and our listeners a bit of a seminar on the original 1935 film?
I would absolutely love that.
Oh my god, thank you. So, Bride of Frankenstein came out in 1935 and was the first sequel ever produced by the Universal Pictures monster canon. Um,
Hmm.
just like the first film, Bride of Frankenstein was directed by James Whale, who I cannot wait for us to unpack a little bit later, and does star Boris Karloff as the monster.
May I just say credited only as Karloff in this. Did you
Yes,
notice that?
of course I
Monogamous
noticed it.
king,
Oh my god, it's like this is Madonna, this is
Madonna,
Prince,
Beyonce,
this is
Prince.
Karloff. Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like Taylor Swift at some point. It's too late, but Taylor Swift really could have been a mono. But
It is funny how you can say Taylor and it does just mean her, even though
I
she's
know,
very much not
but you
monogamous.
want to say Swift so bad. You
Yeah,
can't
true.
not. You cannot not.
You can't
Um,
not know.
so this sequel also features Elsa Lanchester, as we mentioned earlier, in two roles. She plays, as we were saying, Mary Shelley, the author of the story Frankenstein, and she also plays the Bride of Frankenstein herself, aka the monster's mate, who does go uncredited in this film. I don't know if you noticed. At the end, it says the monster's mate, played by ... question mark, which I think is
Uncredited twice. because they show us, which is very funny. I don't know if you noticed this, but they show the same like credit card at the beginning and at the end, but at the end it says on top like credits so nice we showed them twice or something. It's
Yeah,
so
it's
cute.
something like that. No, it's like a cast. Yeah,
Yes,
something about a cast so nice we gotta show it twice. I love it. Someone had a little bit of a sense of humor back in the day. It must have been a gay. Must have been
Whoever
a
wrote
gay.
that meta opening scene also
Yeah,
was in
yeah.
charge of the
Yeah, Colin Clive reprises his role as Henry Frankenstein, and we also have a Mr. Ernest. Oh God, Seiger. If I said that wrong, just forgive me because I'm really trying. Who plays the role of Doctor? Fuck, and I was so scared I wasn't gonna know how to pronounce this. How do you pronounce that doctor's name? Doctor Pretorius? Pretorius? They say it literally 30 times in the movie. You think I'd remember, but I don't.
I think it's Pretorius.
Pretorius. That sounds almost right. Yeah, so
Septimus Pretorius.
Septimus Pretorius. Yeah, so that's played by Mr. Ernest, and it's a runaway character in this one. Pretty fascinating. The plot itself picks up Halloween Kills style right after the original, also Halloween 2, how dare I. Yeah, and it shows Henry Frankenstein as he tries to sort of abandon his plans for creating zombies, because like who knew that was going to be a bad idea, until he's finally convinced by his old mentor to get back into the gig, and together they create a mate for the monster who has survived the ending of the first film.
What a man will do to avoid commitment, am I right?
I know. You have to know. Though you know what? It has to be right. Otherwise, you got to get out. Bride of Frankenstein was released, and everyone loved it. And it, over the years, has become even more critically acclaimed than its predecessor, Frankenstein. Over the years, its reputation has just gotten better and better, and some people consider this to be one of the greatest sequels ever made, and is considered by many to be James Whale's singular masterpiece. In 1998, it was decided to be deemed culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant enough for the National Film Registry to preserve it forever and ever and ever. It was made for I don't know if it was modest at the time, but it was made for a budget of around $400,000 in 1935 money, and then reaped a benefit of about $2 million. And so in 2021 money, that's about $8 million of a budget versus $40 million of earning, which is, I think, for the time, pretty successful.
That sounds like a best case scenario Sundance movie.
Yeah. Oh. Wow. A24 could never. How
They'll
do we
try.
feel about it overall? Like, we, turning it off, first impressions, sitting with it, where did we land? How do we feel?
Well, let me just say, it's sort of beside the point, but boy, do I love a 1935 runtime. I think this guy clocked in at an hour and 14 minutes, and
Yeah, 75 minutes long.
that's a movie.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
As we said, I really liked the framing device. There were some really like sweet scenes in it. That I really enjoyed. I loved the scene when he's in that little cottage in the woods with the blind man, and I just want to see want to see them have like a Bert and Ernie life together. You know,
were they like a little bit gay?
They were definitely a bit gay.
A little bit gay. I mean, there's lots of gay in this, and we're going to get into that ASAP Rocky when we start talking about James Whale. But yeah, I couldn't help but think gay when the monster and the blind man were like touching hands and drinking and smoking together.
Yeah, it seemed like the beginning of truly a beautiful cohabitation.
Although, who's the top? Frankenstein's monster or the blind man in the woods?
I think we know.
Well, who? I would like to know what the straight girl thinks.
I think Frankenstein's monster is the top.
I think so too.
The blind man did not give me top energy.
No, but as I've said many times before on this podcast, when it comes to who's the top, you kind of have to go with the opposite of the natural impulse. It's always the other. It's always, like freak in the sheets is a steaks in the bleats. It's like, got to inverse it.
It's my favorite phrase.
Yeah, I definitely said it verbatim. Yeah. And when it comes to the ending, because this is the only part that we actually get to encounter the Bride of Frankenstein
Yes.
in her full glory. How did we feel that went down? How did we feel? Did it make it all worth it in the end?
Well, that's a big no from me.
Mm-hmm.
In the sense of just, yeah, I mean, this whole movie, it's this build up, although they don't really get to it's definitely meandering. We're not
Yeah.
really focused on the making
Yeah.
of the bride the whole time, even though
For 75 minutes, there's a lot of meandering.
yeah. But
Mhm.
as we said, we liked some of the meandering too.
Absolutely.
But
I am
yes,
like, yeah.
go ahead.
I was just gonna say I'm kind of obsessed. I don't know how to say his name, so I'm just gonna call him Dr. Patronus. But a little bit obsessed with Dr. Patronus's vibe.
Yes.
Giving me drag that entire time. Yeah, the ending is interesting. There's definitely some, what's the fancy word for feeling sad in our feelings? Pathos. Lots of pathos being tossed around. And I really like how, because I believe in the first film, and I'm sorry if I'm getting this wrong, everybody, the monster sort of destroys Henry and tosses him off of a roof and just kind of kills him. But in this one, the opposite happens. He sort of decides that Henry Frankenstein is deserving of life and deserving of love with his wife. And before he self-destructs the whole building with a lever that's just in the middle of the room, I think we can design this a little bit less disastrously, but that's okay.
I
He
think
allows
it was maximalist in there.
Yeah, it's like in Star Wars how like shooting one little beam into that one little hole explodes the whole Death Star. It kind of had a
Yes,
similar energy to that. But you know what? They're playing with life and death. Life and death can play with them.
absolutely.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and so the monster decides that Henry can live and sends him off on his way. And then he turns to Dr. Patronus and he's like, "Girl, no, you stay. You and I should be dead." And then and it all comes crumbling down.
And this is after they have fashioned a lady friend for our dear Frankenstein's monster. And friend.
Friend.
Aw, and it's so
Yeah.
sad. She's scared of him, just like all the shitty humans are. They
I
shouldn't have given
know.
her eyes. That's where they went
Yeah, if she
wrong.
was a little scarier, maybe
Yeah.
she'd be a little less judgmental.
Or
Because
just
she
make
was,
her blind.
yeah, blind her. There's enough blind people going around in this movie, though, Samantha. No,
I just mean
you're right, though.
if we want everyone to live in harmony.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, I think that we do.
I want Frankenstein's monster to live in harmony because he's a sweetie pie.
He's so sweet. But why is she so hot and he's so ugly? That didn't seem right.
Yeah, they definitely. I was thinking that as I watched too. They really perfected the process from
Yeah, real
from
fast.
person
Really
one to
fast.
person two.
Wait,
Also,
but uh-huh.
you go.
Well, is she, because she does have kind of the patchwork kind of vibes going on her face too. Is
Only
she
just under the
also
neck. That's
only
like
just under the neck? Yeah, generally
yeah.
she looks kind of cohesive. So is she unlike Frankenstein? Like, was she one person that they brought back to life, or is she patchwork monster and they just made it look better?
I
She
think.
was very wrapped up in bandages.
Yeah, I have no idea.
The bandages were hot.
They only really showed us that one woman's grave, but I think he was getting like the brain
Didn't
and
they?
stuff from other
Didn't they
places.
murder? Yeah, they murdered
No,
a lady. Remember, he's like, "It's a lot of money," and then he like jumps a lady
oh,
in the. I could be wrong,
wasn't
but I
that
do
when
think
he captured the fiance?
no. There's another
Oh,
scene where they send, I forgot his name, but like the henchman,
mhm.
and they're like, go to the teaching hospital and get us a fresh brain, I believe.
Mm,
And he's like, okay, and then he just like doesn't want to do that for some reason and goes and just snatches a lady off the street. I could be misinterpreting what I saw, but this is what I interpreted.
Well, and then there's the body that they steal from the monastery, right?
Yes. We watched this movie, okay? So if you're yelling at us in your car, we really did. We really did. Yeah, any other sort of overall feelings, thoughts, concerns before we head into reboot territory?
One thing
Take
I
your time.
wanted to say about Frankenstein's monster, which I didn't really realize, and this goes back to him just being an absolute number one sweetie at heart. His greatest defense is like shoving. And maybe this is
Yeah.
why these movies could not work in a cinematic universe the way that we conceive of them in our 2021 world.
Mm.
But he's barely violent. He literally the only thing he does is shove.
In this movie.
In this movie, yes.
In the original, he does murder a little girl. Unfortunately, it does semi-disrupting his sweetie status. Although the whole point of it is that he doesn't do it with malicious intent. He's just like, oh, it's a little girl throwing you into the lake. And then
Yeah,
she
it's a
dies.
Lenny situation, right?
Literally that.
Yeah.
Literally that. Good job. Yeah. Yeah, he doesn't really. Yeah, he doesn't. I'm not afraid of him. Like, there's not a
No.
moment in this movie where I'm like, oh, oops. Although I guess he does murder the two parents of the child he murdered, so like that's not a good look.
No, it's not great.
Oh my god, you know who we haven't touched on, who's my favorite character in this entire film? Minnie, the insane
The
housekeeper.
shrieking lady, yeah.
Yeah, the old lady. And she gets a lot of screen time, and I have to say I'm a big fan. I am a big fan of Minnie. I wonder if I can find...
She is ringing the alarm from top to bottom. Like,
yeah, she's doing
the
her
moral,
fucking best.
if we had believed Winnie, what's her name?
Yeah, Minnie.
Minnie.
Yeah.
If we
Played by...
believed Minnie, then
Yeah,
so much of this could be avoided.
Honestly, hashtag believe Minnie. Minnie was played by Una O'Connor. What a name.
Can I give you one? I want to say one more little thing.
Yes, please.
I don't know if you noticed this. Did you notice how many references there were to being in bed and how everyone should be in bed by now and how good people are in bed?
Yeah, I stand by it. I agree.
I stand by it too. It felt it hit me, and I took it in.
Minnie says that at least once. She's like,
yes.
It's late, and if you were not a freaky, like, scary monster, like, you'd be in bed right now.
You'd be sleeping.
It's kind of true. It's like the How I Met Your Mother, like, nothing good happens after 3 a.m.
Absolutely.
It is absolutely correct. How I Met Your Mother, is it relevant again? I don't know. Hard to say.
Hilary Duff, tell us.
Oh my god, that's right. Kind of perfect casting.
Oh, it's good casting.
Yeah, like not. Yeah, she's totally the Lady Ted Mosby of 2021. Like
she
unoffensive, cute.
She didn't get to be sexy adult Lizzie McGuire, so.
Oh yeah, that didn't happen.
To do this.
That didn't happen. That just like fell through the cracks.
Yeah, because she wanted. I mean, talk about development hell. She wanted to. She wanted Lizzie to fuck, and Disney didn't want it to be sexy.
Oh.
And then it broke apart.
I don't want Lizzie to fuck. I mean, if she fucks, she's like fucking in like a very Disney Plus presents Star channel kind of a way. You know, it's like there's a moral. Okay. So I'm gonna jump in to the Bride of Frankenstein reboot, which has been in the works for a very long time. In fact, maybe since the late 80s, early 90s. Can I give you a little bit of a preliminary seminar?
Yes. I had no idea it dated back that.
Universal tried to remake Bride of Frankenstein many, many times. And the closest that we've ever got to actually seeing a rebooted, sort of recalibrated version of this story was this strange thriller from 1985 called The Bride, which I had never heard of.
Me neither.
Sting. Yeah, what a cast, too, because it stars Sting, horror icon Clancy Brown, and Jennifer Beals.
Bananas.
but I know, so bananas, and it was a huge flopperella. So that's probably why most people have not heard about it.
Mm-hmm.
In 1991, Universal was considering remaking Bride of Frankenstein for like cable for TV,
Okay.
and Mr. Martin Scorsese even expressed interest in taking on that project at the time, although it never happened. So
Interesting.
fast forward another 10, 20 years, and Imagine Entertainment contacted a few of their pals, including the people who wrote the screenplay for American Splendor, to write the remake. It was going to take place in modern day New York, and that never happened. And who owns Imagine Entertainment? It's Ron Howard, I think, because they make fun of that all the time on Arrested Development.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like they're always in the Imagine Entertainment offices.
Yeah.
It's
Oh
so
yeah.
funny. Good show, guys.
And
Okay.
Brian Grazer, I think. Yeah, I think it's them.
Yeah. Yes. Also didn't happen. So June 20 no, it didn't happen. In June 2009, Universal and Imagine, as you were saying, entered discussions with Neill Berger and producer Brian Grazer to oversee this remake, which would still never fruit. So the last update before the Dark Universe occurs was in 2015 when Variety reported that David Coep, I hope I'm saying that right, I'm probably not, was hired to write the script. So this guy, David Coep, and I'm so sorry that I'm saying his name wrong, is responsible for writing like a lot of modern Hollywood junk. He
Yes.
wrote Mission Impossible. He wrote Panic Room. He directed Stir of Echoes. I believe he wrote the 2002 Spider-Man, the 2008 Indiana Jones, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
I think he
And
also wrote Mordecai.
what is Mordecai?
Mordecai is that it's like the last acting job
Oh,
Gwyneth Paltrow ever took before.
he directed it.
He directed it. Damn it.
He directed Mordecai, starring Johnny Depp and yes,
Yeah.
Gwen. And oh my God, Andrew Lazar produced it. I'm related to him.
Oh,
This is true. I am related to Andrew Lazar. He's really on my dad's side of the family.
Wow.
And I knew this as a kid because everyone was like, he produces movies. And at the time, I remember he did that Cats versus Dogs movie.
Okay.
And Death to Smoochie. And I remember being 12 and thinking like, this is it. This is my in. I'm gonna make it. And of course, I've never talked to him again. But that's interesting that he's producing crappy stuff still. Hi, Andrew. Please give me a job. I didn't just insult you. So, this David Coep guy, yes, I'm saying his name wrong. Get over it. He also wrote 2017's The Mummy. And so this is going to be a chilling foreshadow for why Bride of Frankenstein's reboot has never happened. The Mummy was the inaugurative, not a real word, project for what was going to be the Dark Universe, extended universe of reboots connecting all of sort of new versions of the Universal classic monster films. And the first one they made was that Tom Cruise movie in 2017, which he also wrote, which was a flopperella. Nobody liked it. Nobody saw it. It didn't do well.
No.
Some perceptions on why it sank the ship for the rest of the Dark Universe films is because it was going in like an action sort of like, I don't want to say lighthearted, but it was going less gothic, less horror, and more mainstream action movie. And the tone just wasn't right, and nobody was interested. Clearly, they were interested in creating their own Marvel-esque extended universe of IP, which Universal had under their belt, but it just didn't work. Nobody was interested.
Such a wild misunderstanding of what people want, I think.
Yes. And like such what's it called where you believe it's gonna work?
Hubris.
Hubris or like confidence. So much confidence that it was gonna happen. Do you want to tell us a little bit about their introduction to the world, how Dark Universe, the new branded extended universe that was going to connect all of these reboots of different Universal Monsters. How did they introduce themselves to the world? Because I think you are familiar with this post.
Oh, I am very familiar with this post. I mean, this is the most fascinating element of all of this to me. I love a failed franchise. This is like something that is just dripping in celebrity and money, and they just can't make it work on any level. It's like the
No.
Quibi of cinematic universes. I love it.
Oh, it absolutely is.
And so they decided to announce this. I don't know if it was. Do you know if it was just the tweet?
It was
that
just
the
a
first thing?
tweet. I think that the mummy had come out or was en route. But yeah, I believe it was just a tweet with like a cast, or just like a
Yeah.
with
So
a
they.
portrait of a bunch of different celebs.
So I don't know if they just put it out on social or they did some sort of press thing, but basically they had a logo for Dark Universe, and they had 6 very famous people and 1 less famous person in black t-shirts in a very like Hollywood Reporter style
Yeah,
shoot,
exactly that.
like some fold out chairs that nobody's sitting on,
Different
but
levels, different levels, different levels.
different levels, absolutely. And I think the tweet said, "Witness the beginning of a dark universe." And
Oof.
that's how they were
Yeah, that's how they were introducing us to
to
this
this
extended universe.
that they had such massive hopes for. This, I mean, this is peak everyone trying to be Marvel, right?
Yeah, yep. And yeah, we just thought everyone was like, we need extended universes. And I don't even think we need the ones that we have, to be
No.
honest.
I think we can trim our universes every 6 weeks,
I want a
actually.
limited universe. That is what I want. Yeah. So this reboot, this remake that was in the works way before Dark Universe ever came along, then got compartmentalized into this Dark Universe banner. There are a number of projects that were announced, as you were mentioning, under the Dark Universe banner,
Mhm.
including The Invisible Man, which would eventually come out in a very different context. There was, I think, there was a Wolfman project, which is also coming out. There's
Oh.
new announcements about that with Ryan Gosling,
Oh,
but
yes.
it's going to be in a very different context. Like, I believe Dark Universe itself has died, and some of these films are still being made, in a very different way. Bride of Frankenstein, though, on the other hand, is one that uh, keeps coming up in the conversation, but is still dead on arrival as of this recording today.
I had no idea, just to take us off track for
Yeah.
just a moment, I had no idea that the Phantom of the Opera was one of the Universal Monsters.
Yeah, me neither. Me
It's
neither.
so
But
interesting to me.
I think it is. I was looking at a list today of the original Universal Monsters,
Mhm.
and they were definitely interesting. There was some stuff in there that I wasn't sure was in there, and I think that was one of them.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
didn't know Creature from the Black Lagoon was considered one as
Yes,
well.
yes. What a classic.
Mhm.
You may know, or maybe you don't know, but Guillermo del Toro has famously been pursuing Creature from the Black Lagoon for a long time. And when he wasn't given the rights to do it, is when he decided to make his own version with The Shape of Water.
He said, "I
So,
will get fins in
yeah,
here."
I will have fish sex if it's
The
this
last thing
way
I do.
or that way. Yeah, exactly. Um, But yeah, as we were saying before, The Mummy flopped,
Big flop.
and it in true Hollywood fashion, they got cold feet and they pulled the rug under everyone.
It turns out
Although
you cannot structure an entire cinematic universe around a picture of Tom
and
Cruise
like an
standing and Russell
embarrassing
Crowe
picture of Tom
sitting.
Cruise. Yeah. And that one girl that plays the mummy that like we kind of forgot the name
I
of,
mean,
but I think she's
R.I.P.
still doing
her,
stuff.
eh? Oh, she is.
Yeah, I
That's good.
think she is. I don't know. I have nothing to base that on. I just, as a news writer at Dread Central, I do see the name come up, even though
Love
you'd
to
think
hear
I'd
it.
remember it. Love to hear it too. Yeah, she's a cutie.
Mhm.
We should know her name, but we don't.
We celebrate
Um,
her.
we celebrate her. So it's not all bad news for Dark Universe. Well, it is all bad news for Dark Universe, but it's not all bad news for these reboots. The Invisible Man, by Lee Wannell, did come out, and it was a huge success. And actually, we watched it together.
We did watch
What are
it
your
together.
thoughts? What are your thoughts on the Elizabeth Moss vehicle, The Invisible Man?
And I watched it with Howard later. So I have seen that movie twice, which is,
Cool.
I'm sure is flabbergasting to you. But
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. It worked for me. It was doing like it was very of its post Me Too time, but I feel like it hit the marks that it was trying to do. I didn't like the sister's kid stuff was pretty weak, but other than that,
I don't remember the sister's kid, but I remember the sister having a very iconic death scene.
yes, it was
It's
great.
actually the only scene I remember from that film. Yeah, so that was made in cahoots with Universal favorite Jason Blum and Blumhouse.
Yes.
So I don't know if they're going to continue the Jason Blum route with these other reboots. I think maybe they will, but
How did you
yeah,
feel about that one?
I don't know. It was a little mask for my tastes, even though it did star a lady. It was a little action heavy for me. It was a little sleek for
Yeah.
me. Lee was off the success of doing Upgrade, which people really, really like, but is definitely more of like an action focused film. And I
Mhm.
get the sense that that is like a talent of his, is like tense action. And it's not really my Dark Universe to trudge that back up. Although I am a huge fan of the Insidious films, which he has written and directed several entries of. So this boy knows how to do horror. It'll be interesting to see if he ever goes back to tradish horror world. We'll have to see. But to get a little bit deeper into the Bride of Frankenstein reboot under the Dark Universe banner, it was likely, if The Mummy had been more of a success, it would have been the second sort of proper Dark Universe title. It was going to be directed by Bill Condon, who is famous for directing Gothic classics like, okay, let's take out the word classic. Candyman 2, Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 1 and 2. He also did Dreamgirls. And maybe most interestingly, he is the man behind 1998's Gods and Monsters, a biopic about James Whale creating Bride of Frankenstein in all of his gay glory. Are you familiar with this movie?
I am not.
So, Gods and Monsters won the Academy Award for Best Adapted Screenplay. Was also nominated for Best Actor in a Leading Role by Mr. Ian McKellen, and as well as a Best Actress in a Supporting Role for Lynn Redgrave. Gods and Monsters sort of reconstructs the production of Bride of Frankenstein. So we're seeing him on the set of Bride of Frankenstein and what he's up to. And the title itself, Gods and Monsters, is taken from a scene in Bride and Frankenstein where Dr. Patronus says to Dr. Frankenstein, "To a new world of gods and monsters." I want to talk about James Whale for half of a second here, if you're comfortable with
Yeah,
it. I know
please
you're
tell
very
me.
homophobic, so I may have to warn you. No, just kidding. I will cut that out. James Whale was an out, like a not closeted homosexual in Hollywood in the 30s. He's famous for directing tons of classics, including Dracula, Bride of Frankenstein, I believe Freaks. He was like a very famous dude, and people kind of left him alone back in the day. It was sort of like a well-known secret that he was gay, and people kind of didn't care. Although I think at the end of the day, people did care, and it did end up hurting his career. Oh yeah, he also did the original The Invisible Man.
Cool.
Which is cool. Yeah. And so he so Bill Condon directs this movie about James Whale, and then down the line gets hired by Dark Universe or Universal to create this reboot of Bride of Frankenstein, which is pretty cool. It kind of gives me Shadow of the Vampire meets Dracula, which is sort of like
Okay.
yeah. Unfortunately, it does not. Whatever. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen. And in October of 2017, it's reported that it has sort of been scrapped. Angelina Jolie and Javier Bardem were attached to the movie originally as Frankenstein's monster and the bride, respectively. So, what do we think of that casting?
I go back and forth on this. It would really depend on the. I don't know. I feel like the Angelina of it all maybe wouldn't still work. Unfortunately, I feel like she's a
Why?
little. I feel like again, it would depend so much on what story they're doing, but I feel like she's a little old, unfortunately,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
at this stage. I don't know. It feels
I think you're right.
pretty
Right.
safe A-list.
Yes,
They are both
exactly. It's
people who
boring.
can scowl very well.
Yeah, I do see it. They're good. They're good choices if under the right production, but it's a little boring. Yeah, it's a little safe
Definitely.
A-list. Like, yeah, who cares?
Exactly.
I don't want to put you too much on the spot, and maybe I can give my answer first to give you a little bit of leeway. But I
Yeah.
was wondering, like, do we have any like any other suggestions for who could have been cute casting for Bride of Frankenstein? And I do have some in mind if you want me to go first while you think.
Yes, you go first, and I will think for sure.
So who are the two? I want to go younger, as you were saying, and I want to go like a little bit more millennial with it. So
Okay.
two Ryan Murphy favorites, I
Oh, I
think,
know
could
where you're
fit
gonna
the role.
go.
Do you? One, I think Keke Palmer, give her the role. Like
Ooh, I would
Keke
love that.
Palmer deserves to be Bride of Frankenstein. She
But
is
you
going
can
to.
actually
Yes.
write the role of Bride of Frankenstein. Like you can, I
Yeah, oh,
would
yeah,
not
yeah.
allow anyone to put Keke Palmer in that movie and
No,
then
no, 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 no
zero lines.
cameo for Kiki. No cameo for Kiki. Kiki gets the leading role. But I do think any modern update on Bride of Frankenstein needs to be more focused on the bride herself. Like
Absolutely.
it needs to be a story about a woman.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Keke Palmer's my number one, and then my number two. Like I know we're like the zeitgeist just kind of chewed her out and doesn't care anymore. But Emma Roberts, give her this lead. Show us what you can do, Emma Roberts. I'm
Wow.
laughing
He
already. I'm
went there. He
laughing.
went there.
Thank
He went
you,
to a
thank you,
place
thank
of
you.
Emma Roberts.
and I'm never coming back. I'm here forever. This is my Pinterest. This is my hell. Yeah, my
I like
Pinterest
it. I like
thinks
it.
I'm obsessed with Emma Roberts, which is really funny because I guess I am, but I use it for work. So I'm like, why? Well, I don't need her right now. Yeah.
That's
So
so
you like
funny.
it? I think Kiki is better. I think Kiki's better.
I like Kiki. I mean, Kiki's gonna pull off anything. So
Oh yeah, and she's about to be in like a big mainstream horror movie
yes,
next year.
she's in the new Jordan
Oh,
Peele, right?
she's in the new Jordan Peele. She's in the top 3 billing for Nope. So that should be interesting
Mm-hmm.
because everyone loves her. Everyone thinks she's the best, but she doesn't really have a lot of leading role credits yet. She's not
No,
really
she
a
can't.
silver screen aficionado.
She's got a bit of a Lucy Hale quality in that she can't really make anything stick.
She
You know.
can't really land, which I think is partially just luck.
Yes, but Kiki also does everything too. Like she's hosted a
Yeah.
talk show. She's on
Oh,
Broadway.
yeah,
Like that girl.
She's everywhere. And she deserves to be A-list ingenue.
Yes,
But if she needs to just host a talk show, like I support it.
I do too.
When we all thought that what's her name? How you doing? Who we're
Wendy
talking about?
Williams. Yes,
When we all thought Wendy Williams maybe was dead or dying, and we were like looking for replacements, I thought, oh, Kiki, because they had her go in to host a few days,
I think
and I thought,
Wendy is still
dying.
not doing great. Yeah.
Oh, so I can't joke about it if it's
No.
true.
It's
Oh.
what they had to. You can cut this obviously, but they had to. You know their stupid Las Culturistas culture awards thing. They like can't do it because like Wendy is like all the nomination.
Oh my god. I didn't know that she wasn't doing good. I mean, she does faint on TV sometimes. So
That
that's
still one of the
That's
wildest moments on
I know, and I want to
television.
laugh at it so bad, but I know that I shouldn't. I know that I shouldn't.
The killer.
The killer. I love the killer. The killer's out there. You know, I don't want to. I don't want to give the killer any opportunities to come and kill me.
No, that would be
Our
just like
listeners,
the killer.
who are 75% dudes in their 30s, as the numbers have shown, will not appreciate these Wendy Williams references. But that's fine. To get back into Bride of Frankenstein's troubled production history, at least for the remake, Jolie, if Jolie was deciding to leave the project, because it sounds like it was getting iffy, Bill Condon also announced that he would be interested in seeing Gal Gadot play the titular character. I have a feeling I'll know what you think about that, but do you want to give me some? Do you want to give me some of your feed? Yeah, I know it's so boring.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Gal
I mean,
Gadot,
clearly,
I
yeah.
think is like a perfect Wonder Woman. Like, I think that's about the extent of her
I mean,
ability
yeah.
to absorb a character and display emotion. I think that's about it.
Yeah.
So
Maybe it would work if they were going the whole, like, she's in it for 5 minutes at the end, but other than that, she's a little wooden. And if anyone, and I think this was obviously, this was all before Wonder Woman 2 came out, and that changed the zeitgeist opinion, I think, a little bit,
yeah,
because it was so
definitely.
bad. Did you see it?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, it was so bad.
It was really, really bad.
Was the first one bad too, and I just didn't realize it? Because I remember liking the first one, but I saw the first one in theaters and
I
the
was
second one on video.
I was just gonna say the first one we got to see in theaters, and I think that
And it does
makes
make a difference. I
yeah.
remember when I was reviewing Halloween Kills, and I just wanted a screener because the world was ending,
Mm.
and they were like, you know what? I don't know if I can say this. But yeah, it gives you a different feel when you're seeing something in theaters. You're definitely a little less rude, I think, internally.
I
Yeah.
was trying to think of who my answers would be in terms
Oh,
of
yeah.
casting,
Oh, my God, of
and
course.
I told you that the photo for some reason gives me serious Sarah Paulson vibes.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, that's right. That's
there's something in
right.
the eyes that's like a mix of like Sarah Paulson and like Rose McGowan of the
Yeah,
actress in
like
the original.
a panic and a judgment.
Yes, yes, and they're huge.
They're
Those
big.
eyes, yeah.
Yeah. And they're a
Those
little
are some
gay.
big eyes. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So there, but again, that's the Angelina Jolie problem. These women, wonderful actresses, have, I think, unfortunately, aged out of this role.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Unless they decide to take the story in a different direction, which of course I would
Well,
love and
she could
celebrate.
be any age, right? Like, they just need a fresh brain. They don't need like a spring chicken. But yeah, I think it would be the right move to give this to sort of the new guard and to do
Mhm.
it in an interesting and woman focused way.
So
And that
I'm gonna see your two people from the Ryan Murphy universe, and I'm gonna give
okay.
you two people from the movie Little Women, which is
Smart.
um I think I would love to see either Florence Pugh.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm gonna give you three. I think Saoirse, I think Florence Pugh, and I think our Sharp Objects girly
Oh yeah.
would
Oh
do
yeah.
a good
I think
job.
the second you said Saoirse, I was like, no, she needs to play Dr. Frankenstein,
Oh yes.
right?
Yeah.
And definitely Pew can. I mean, Pew could be the monster, but almost feel like you got to give her the wife. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, give her the wife. Let's just like take Little Women and then rejig it all around. Um,
I'm
yeah,
down.
and Minnie can be Timothy Chalamet.
Yeah.
But who are we land? Oh, and But you didn't say Hermione Granger because why would you?
Because why would
What a
I?
mess!
Yeah.
What a mess! What a mess!
I don't think she
So
has the
who's
acting chops to play
to do anything?
yeah.
She doesn't have the acting chops to play. I was gonna make a callback to Beauty and the Beast regional Canadian theater, but I made a
Aw.
mistake and I did a bad job. So out of all the Little Women, who's the ultimate Frankenstein? Oh, who's the ultimate Bride of Frankenstein?
I guess I'll go Pew just because I know
Hmm.
she can really pull it off. But I feel like that's a bit of a boring answer. I don't know.
No, I love it. Honestly,
Yeah?
I love it. I do. I love it. I love it. I love anything. I love anything Little Women in conjunction with Bride of Frankenstein. For some reason, I see maybe because they're both period pieces, but I see the connection.
I think so. I mean, it's definitely. They probably would have. It feels very much like the plays that they would have done
Yes.
in their little attic.
Oh, and it's funny. This is a real true story. But as I was watching, I couldn't help but think that um, the wife of Henry
Hmm.
looked like Greta Gerwig, in my opinion. She like she like really looked like Greta Gerwig to me the whole time, and so
That's
Greta Gerwig
so
was on my
funny.
mind. Yeah,
I
it's a bit of
don't
a
think I saw that. I'm
coincidence.
trying to recall the image.
That's fine. That's fine. And I think Greta could also pull off. Well, listen, we'll get to it eventually, but like even as of now, they're still thinking about men to direct and to write
And to
this,
write.
which
Yes,
is
I saw that. Ugh, it's offensive.
absurd. This has to be done by a woman. This is such a woman's story. It's like it's just like absurd to me that you would give this to a man, even from like a marketing standpoint. Like this is it's like the Barbie movie.
I
It's
was
like
just
this like
gonna
classic
say,
woman's story.
I am almost fully like give this to. I'm on team. Give this to Greta fully because she's doing that
Yep.
Barbie movie,
Yes.
and
Yes.
it's so funny when I was thinking of like what would like a because this is where my brain goes when I was trying to think of
Hmm.
like what would a 2021 Bride of Frankenstein story be. I just kept picturing I kept picturing like life size and like splashed
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
all of
Yeah.
that shit. Like because
Yes.
what's it
Make it.
actually going to be like to
Yes.
see this woman? Like
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
right?
And like it doesn't need to be serious tonally. Like
No,
this could have like an enchanted vibe if we really wanted it to.
it could be freaky but
Oh,
good.
she would be good. She would be good. What's our girl from Sharp Objects? The lead,
Amy,
Amy
she's too
Adams.
old. I'm sorry.
Wow, you're
I
really
I
ageist
am.
today. The ageism is blatant and
Ageism in
it's
Hollywood
wild.
all boils down to
To women
one
hating
woman in
women.
Toronto.
I'd be okay with that. Um, I want to swerve back to poor Mr. Bill, poor Mr. Condon, who, when eventually was asked about his Bride of Frankenstein remake not entering production, this is what the guy had to say. That was a heartbreaker. The simplest way to say it is that I think The Mummy, and not to say anything against that movie, but the fact that that hadn't worked for them, which I'm assuming is the studio, and it was the beginning of this whole reinvention for the monsters, and it gave them cold feet at the end of the day. And because the writer was writing the script, and I thought it was unbelievably good, we were on the verge of making a really beautiful movie, I thought. So that was a shame. So it sounds like this guy was really excited about this production, which makes sense with his history um, creating Gods and Monsters about James Whale. It was like,
Hmm.
kind of does. It seems in some ways like the perfect. If you're gonna give this to a dude, give it to an old gay man that once dated Ryan Murphy. So a story about Ryan Murphy and Bill Condon that I'm obsessed with goes like this. So Samantha, our guest today, very special guest, introduces me to a lot of nonfiction books. And one of my favorite that she's introduced me to was I Like to Watch by Emily Nussbaum, who's like a famous, is she like a New Yorker writer about film and TV
Yeah,
generally?
she was a TV
How
critic
would
for The New Yorker, and now I think she still writes for The New Yorker, but she's not their critic anymore.
and she's this like hot shot journalist, and she's incredible. And so I was reading her book on vacation a million years ago with Sam, and the last chapter in I Like to Watch, I believe, or one of the last chapters,
Mhm.
is about Ryan Murphy, and she has this like pretty intense sit down interview with Ryan Murphy, and they go over his whole career, and he shares like a truly unhinged, disturbing story about
Okay.
his past relationship with director Bill Condon, who is, the guy that we're talking about today.
Hmm.
And they were living together on this beach house somewhere on the ocean. And the relationship was, I believe, sort of near the end of its run. And Bill Condon was swimming out at sea, and like I believe they were like kind of didn't like each other very much anymore, as relationships will go. And Bill Condon got stuck in an undercurrent and kind of got stuck out at sea and was like kind of flailing for help and was in danger out in the water. And Ryan Murphy tells the story about how he like is watching Bill Condon out at sea and like watching him struggle and like for a brief moment just considered letting him die. And then he said something along the lines of was like, well, and I guess I should have realized that like our relationship, should have been over at that point.
Oh my
And Emily Nussbaum was
gosh.
just like, who are you? You are an unhinged gay man. And it's a story that I've always been a little bit obsessed with.
It is wild.
Yeah, it's so Ryan Murphy, in my opinion. But don't be too afraid, because in October of 2020, the adaptation was announced to still be in the works, and there was a new casting announcement for The Bride of Frankenstein in the name of Scarlett Johansson. No other announcements or confirmations had been made since that rumor, and it's believed generally that that's not happening. So how do we feel about Scarlett Johansson taking on the role? Do we feel any which way about that at all?
It feels like a very 2013 choice. Like, she has the eyes. She, like, is that level of A-list. It's just, like...
Yeah.
It doesn't... I don't know.
She has the Starkitude. The Starkitude.
Of course.
That black and white promo photo would be beautiful, just like with Angelina Jolie. But
absolutely.
There's not a lot going on beneath the surface there in a way that I really want there to be for our bride.
Mm-hmm.
Although, I mean, I think I underestimate Scarlett. I'm not a fan.
Yeah, me neither.
Which means I kind of write her off whenever I can. But she's now Oscar nominated at least once, maybe twice. People really liked her. Oh yeah, twice in 1 year.
Yes.
Jojo Rabbit and Marriage is Bad.
Marriage is Bad.
Marriage is Bad, the movie. So maybe she could do it. I don't know. I love Ghost World. Really good movie. So who
I feel
is
like she could do it, but it just feels like
boring.
a boring choice.
Yeah. It's boring. Just like A-list white lady. Yeah.
Yeah. Go for an A- list white lady, guys. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah. Or Keke Palmer.
Go for Keke.
Give it to
Palmer.
Keke.
Or one of the Little Women, if you must.
Or one of the Little Women. You know who I've been casting in all of my hypothetical reboots lately? I think her name is Isabella Gomez, the like nerdy queer daughter from One Day at a Time.
Yes.
I like want to.
One Day at a Time.
Oh my god, I love One Day at a Time. My favorite casting I put her in, I think, was like Laurie Strode. If like I had to do a modern retelling of Laurie Strode, like I would love to see
great.
her in the role. Hi, Henry. My beautiful. He's here to say hi.
Hi,
Henry. Yeah. So a no-go on that. By February 2020, Amy Pascal was announced to be producing the project, and that's kind of like one of the last places that we see it being was being produced by Amy Pascal at Universal. Do you know who Amy Pascal is?
I sure do.
Tell me.
Well, she's a power producer lady, who I believe was with Sony, because she was one of the people who was whose emails were hacked, and she had some of the more embarrassing emails. I think I need to reference them one sec.
Yeah,
but I
look
also
it up.
believe she's like a huge heavy hitter producer. I believe she does Greta's movies. Like, I think she did do Little Women. Speaking.
Oh my god, it's all
about that. Back. Yeah. Amy Pascal emails.
Well, that's the movie I want to watch.
Okay.
Is she the one that said Spider-Man has to be straight and white? Was that her?
I don't think so. Maybe.
No,
maybe.
I'm joking. That's the only email I remember happening. And good for you, North Korea. That needed to be exposed.
I bet North Korea so hates funny. Just like getting to see, this shit that got leaked, like an email from Rooney Mara asking Amy Pascal about the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo sequel that didn't happen.
Oh, yeah. Wow! Everyone's like us. Everyone just wants to know what's going on.
Yeah. Everyone's just
Oh,
signing their emails with XOXO Rooney.
fuck you, Rooney Mara.
Yeah.
You disrespectful person who had bad things to say about the terrible Nightmare on Elm Street remake she starred in. Yes, it was bad. But you know what? Be grateful that you're even in the realm of my genre. And speaking of people who are ungrateful for being in the realm of horror, that leads us to talking about John Krasinski. So, unfortunately, okay, I know everyone's probably a big fan of John Krasinski. I get it, I guess. I'm not, because he's on record saying that he doesn't think that A Quiet Place is a horror movie, which is
What?
such a douche. Yes, he has said that he doesn't think that that A Quiet Place is a horror movie, and he thinks it's a thriller, which is such a fucking narrative I cannot stand when people refuse to acknowledge horror because they don't think it's prestige enough, and they think they're better than it when they really just don't understand that horror is beautiful and can be anything. Anyway.
Yep.
So fuck this guy. Anyway, John Krasinski apparently was approached by Universal with a bunch of their different properties or different IPs to pick from, and this is what they did with Jordan Peele when they approached him. They approached him and said, "We have all these IPs. Which one do you want to do?" And then he picked Candyman. I believe the same thing happened with John Krasinski, and I don't know to what extent he's working on these films, but his name was also brought up into the pot.
Interesting.
Along with Sam Raimi of The Evil Dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big snore
That
to
kind of
that,
leads
in
us.
my opinion.
Say that again?
Big snore to that, in my opinion.
Big snore. Have you seen A Quiet Place?
I haven't, actually.
I haven't either, so I really shouldn't be talking
Yeah.
shit. People love those movies. They're considered to be some of the scariest movies of modern horror history. But I just get my back up when people say douchey things about my genre.
Yeah, I'm still mad about the some good news shit. I
What's
think
that?
he needs to be sent to development hell for that.
What's some good news?
Remember at the beginning of the pandemic when he was when it was that thing where celebrities actually had to be in their homes, so they were like, I'm gonna do a YouTube show, and he did that show about good news, and then he sold it to CBS when he was done doing it for 6 weeks. Yeah. Gross.
I hate him.
Gross.
I'm sorry, everybody. Ugh, I'm sure my audience loves him. I'm going to have to cut all this out, but I'm still mad about it. Yeah.
You'll help us out.
I will. Yeah. So that's kind of where we left off with the Bride of Frankenstein reboot, update, remake, whatever you want to call it. It didn't exactly die off with the death of Dark Universe, but it hasn't come back to life. She has not risen, as I could say. I do think that where we're at now, if we were ever to see it, it has to be made by a woman. I don't want to be that woke bloke, but it's just such an iconic woman's story. How I have to see this, and we only have one female filmmaker, so give it to Greta.
Exactly.
Give it to
Amy,
Greta. That has to
it's
be
in
cut.
your
That has to be cut.
hands.
Come on, Amy.
And she's
Come on,
never
Amy.
done
Stop
horror
strumming and start rumming. What?
Oh shoot, what was I gonna say?
What were you gonna say?
Oh, what did you just say before Greta? Oh, a woman. Yes, it needs to be a woman because I think that the story, we haven't really seen what Bride of Frankenstein can do, right? Because we've truly seen her for 2 minutes. Scream. We know she has great hair.
A shock of white.
And that's about it. And so I think that to make this character feel lived in or expand on it in truly any way, I think you really gotta get in at the ground level, it's gotta come from a place of
intimacy, yeah. I'm looking up a list of modern women filmmakers. I'm trying to think of who I would give this gig to. Do you have any offhand, or should I just tell you some of the ones that are coming up that I think could work?
You go, and then it might spark me.
Okay, we said Greta because it's the obvious pick.
Mm-hmm.
Lulu Wang really proved herself
Oh,
a couple
yeah.
years back, and I'd love to see her do like an intimate A24 Bride of
Mm-hmm.
Frankenstein. I think that'd be cool. I don't know about Chloe Zhao. I think we need to give her a little bit of a rest right
Yeah.
now. And also, this is not a sweeping beachy movie,
No.
so maybe not. But I would. I mean, listen, I would rush to see that if it was. But Sofia Coppola is sort of hit and miss. She's done some of the best films of all time, but also some of the most boring. And I
Yeah.
think she could. She's got the aesthetic to pull this off.
I'm going to say no for this, but with love.
That's fair. That's fair. I respect that. I also love Casey Lemons, who recently did Harriet, which I did not see, unfortunately, but that could be a cool one too. She's in the original Candyman.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Are there any lady filmmakers that you got off the cuff that you would throw this one at?
Well, I'm having a hard time. Like, my brain definitely isn't going to horror directors, which is not so.
Oh my god, Julie Taymor. It could work. It could
It
work.
could work.
Miranda July. No, let's not.
Maybe like a Marielle Heller. She did.
Who's that?
She did. Oh, it's one of those like Frazee movies. So it's gonna be. The one with Melissa McCarthy where she played the author that.
Oh yeah, like I don't like this at all.
Yes.
Yeah.
What am I doing here right now?
Yeah.
I'm only thinking of I Think You Should Leave, and that is obviously not what it
I
is.
know exactly what you're talking about, and I like our titles better than whatever its original title.
She did that.
Okay,
She
I
did
see.
A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood.
Oh, so she's
she's
a
done a
sad
bunch of good
lady.
stuff. Yeah.
That's exciting. There's also is it Julia Ducournau of Raw and
Yes.
Titan fame. Although I know that she said explicitly that she's not interested in doing anything Hollywood, so maybe we have to respect that even in our fantasy leagues.
Yeah, maybe.
She's so gross, though. Jesus Christ. I'd be interested in what you think of Raw, but I don't want to send you into it because it's so fucking disgusting.
I know the gist.
The gist is not like it's just like really awful like visual
Gore?
moments that I not even gore, just like scary crusty like skin things that I cannot
I don't
handle.
like crust.
No, me neither. Although Titan, I would be interested in your thoughts on because that was outrageous all around. Outrageous all around. So I like where we ended off. I think we have some good names on the table, and I will be forwarding those to Sony.
I think I gotta throw one more in the ring before we go, just because I thought of it, and not director. I'm gonna go back to our ingenue here, and I'm gonna do another easy choice, but she's who I cast and everything, which is my girl Zendaya.
Oh yeah, and she's the classic. Give her 5 minutes, and then give her the title role. Yeah, Zendaya would be perfect. Zendaya would be great. I think Zendaya would be really, really good.
And she does Unhinged well.
Yeah, she does. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, but give her more than 5 minutes though.
Yeah, you'd have to.
That's becoming a pattern I don't love for Zendaya.
And I also don't want apparently she's going to be in like the sequel to Dune.
We'll see.
She's like, it's like
no,
all
I
about
actually
her.
won't see.
Yeah,
all
neither
about her.
will
Okay,
I.
Yeah. I like that. I think that's actually a beautiful choice. And I like that we have some women of color in the mix because I don't know, how could you not have a woman of color in the mix for this one? I don't have a reason, but it just feels like a natural alignment.
It's certainly, again, when we're speaking about names like Angelina Jolie and Scarlett Johansson in the year of our Lord 2021, I think we can take a step back.
This is not 2016. This is not 2016, I repeat.
No.
Let's take a step. Are you comfortable? Are you able? Are you willing to come with me into our final segment, which is conclusions?
Absolutely.
Holy shit. So one of the big benefits to this podcast is that we are Hollywood, we have the clout, and we get to decide if these projects are going to happen or if they're not going to happen, which is really great to have that kind of power. But at the same time, it's a lot of responsibility. So before we rush into deciding if we're going to greenlit this or red light this, do you think the Dark Universe is officially dead and gone? Or do you think we're going to see it in a different way?
Like, will it become Roku Originals or whatever?
Are we going to see that Dark Universe logo again?
Oh.
In a professional setting.
In a professional setting.
Yeah.
No.
No.
Yeah, not the Dark Universe. Correct. I think they're gonna. No. I think they're gonna pick it apart and milk it for all it's worth in its individual pieces. But I think.
But now that that's out of the way, sort of like The Invisible Man, which I wasn't a huge fan of, but I'm really glad that it exists. We'll start to see some of these projects in very different ways. You know, we're just like how The Invisible Man was like, you know, a fairly alternative way to make that story compared to how they were going to go. Totally. I think we're going to see more smaller, edgier, more interesting versions of these, more Blumhouse-esque versions of these stories. So while the Dark Universe is dead and gone, and we agree on that, Bride of Frankenstein, will she rise? What do you say?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, interesting. I agree. I don't know if it'll be anytime soon, but I think, yeah, how could, as you were saying with IP, like how could it not?
Yeah.
We see new versions of this every so often, no matter what. And Frankenstein comes to mind.
And I think, as you were saying, like these Blumhouse style ones where, or these modern adaptions where you can just take like a little nugget and then transform it. I think that's like the best way to do any of this stuff. The last thing I want to see is like a remake of the original story or a version of the original story, I would say.
Yeah, I agree 150%. Sam, thank you so much for coming on this episode. It was such a joy, such a treat.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, of course, anytime. And I think we'll be seeing you again, unless I am gravely mistaken or get hit by a car. But Sam, if you could be found online, where would you be found?
You can find me at Samantha Reyes _ on Twitter and Instagram, where you can see my posts from approximately 3 years ago.
Wow, when times were better?
When times were times.
Yeah, and now times are dimes, and it's not good. But yeah, so if you want to check out Samantha from 3 years ago, absolutely check her out on Instagram or Twitter. It's worth the investment. And yeah, that's all for me. Thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode on Bride of Frankenstein. If you liked it, let us know. Maybe we'll do a whole series on these Dark Universe films. Good Lord, there's enough of them out there. Oh, and if you could please do me the favor of subscribing to this podcast. And if you're feeling extra sweet and delicious, you're going to go and you're going to give it a 5-star rating. You're going to leave it a positive review. You're going to say, I love Josh. It's such a good podcast. Something like that. I don't need to tell you exactly what to write. All right, well, thank you so much for listening, and we'll be back with another episode of Development Hell.
Thank you for listening to the Dread Podcast Network.